On the windswept island of Drakenholm, where the sea gnawed at the cliffs like a hungry beast, lived Anya. She was the last of the Drakenblood, a lineage of warriors born with the strength of 10 men and the speed of a striking hawk. It was said their ancestors had ridden dragons into battle, their bonds forged in fire and blood. But those days were but fading echoes in the wind. Now the dragons were no longer allies but tyrants. The ancient pact, a delicate balance of respect and power, had shattered. The dragons, once revered guardians, had turned into avaricious fiends, their demands echoing across the island, a tribute of souls, young and old, to appease their insatiable hunger. Anya stood at the edge of the cliff, the salty wind whipping at her crimson hair. In her hand she held the Drakenheart, a bloodstone pendant passed down through generations. It pulsed with a warmth that echoed the fiery spirit within her. Below, she could see the villagers huddled together, their faces etched with fear as the dragon's shadow darkened the sky. A guttural roar ripped through the air, sending shivers down Anya's spine. The beast, a colossal worm with scales like obsidian, descended upon the village. Its eyes, burning with an unholy fire, scanned the crowd, seeking its due. Anya's heart hammered against her ribs, a mix of fury and determination coursing through her veins. She knew she could not stand idly by while her people were sacrificed to the dragon's greed. It was time to honor her lineage, to fight for her people's freedom. With a defiant cry, she leapt from the cliff, her Drakenheart glowing brighter as she plummeted towards the terrified village. The dragon's attention snapped towards her, its gaze fixated on the bloodstone pendant. It sensed the ancient power within Anya, a power that rivaled its own. A low growl rumbled in its chest as it prepared to face the challenger, its wings beating the air with thunderous force. Anya landed on the rocky beach, her boots sinking into the sand. She drew her twin blades, their edges gleaming in the fading sunlight. A hush fell over the village as they watched their champion stand against the dragon, a lone figure against a monstrous foe. The wind howled, carrying with it the scent of fear and anticipation. The dragon roared once more, its challenge echoing across the island. Anya answered with a battle cry, her voice as fierce as the Draken blood that flowed through her veins. The final stand had begun, a desperate struggle for survival against an ancient evil, and Anya, the last of her kind, was ready to fight to the bitter end. The first clash was a whirlwind of steel and fire. Anya danced around the dragon's snapping jaws, her movements fluid and precise. The Drakenheart pulsed against her chest, its warmth seeping into her veins, empowering her limbs. She parried the dragon's claws with her blades, sparks flying as metal met scale. Anya lunged, aiming for the soft underbelly, but the dragon was quick, twisting its massive body with surprising agility. Its tail lashed out, narrowly missing Anya as she rolled out of the way. She felt a searing heat against her skin, the air crackling with the dragon's fiery breath. "You cannot win, Drakenblood," the dragon hissed, its voice like the rumble of an earthquake. "Your time is over. The dragons shall rule this island once more." Anya gritted her teeth, her determination unwavering. "This island belongs to its people, not to your kind. You have broken the pact, and for that you will pay." She feinted to the left, drawing the dragon's attention, then spun around and leapt onto its back. The scales were rough and hot beneath her hands, but she held on tight, her blades digging into the thick flesh. The dragon roared in pain and fury, thrashing its body in an attempt to dislodge her. Anya crawled towards the dragon's head, dodging the swipes of its claws. She reached the base of its neck, where the scales were thinner, and plunged her blades deep. The dragon's roar turned into a pain shriek as its blood, hot and thick, splattered onto Anya's face. The beast stumbled, its movements sluggish. Anya leapt off its back just as it crashed onto the beach, sending a tremor through the island. The villagers cheered, their voices echoing against the cliffs. But Anya knew the fight was far from over. The dragon was wounded, but not defeated. It rose to its feet, its eyes burning with hatred. "You may have wounded me, little warrior," it rasped, "but you cannot kill a dragon. We are eternal, our power beyond your comprehension." Anya met the dragon's gaze, her own eyes flashing with defiance. "Maybe so," she said, "but even dragons can be weakened, and I will not rest until you and your kind are gone from this island." She raised her blades, ready for the final confrontation. The Drakenheart pulsed with renewed energy, its warmth spreading through Anya's body, fueling her resolve. The villagers held their breath, their hopes resting on the shoulders of their champion. The wind whispered a song of courage and sacrifice as the final battle loomed. The dragon lunged, its claws outstretched, but Anya was ready. She ducked under its swipe and plunged her blades into its chest, aiming for the heart. The dragon roared, its fiery breath scorching the ground around them. Anya held on tight, refusing to let go even as the heat singed her skin. The villagers watched in awe and terror as the two figures grappled on the beach. Some prayed to the old gods, their voices mingling with the roar of the dragon and the clang of steel. Others grabbed whatever weapons they could find, ready to join the fight if needed. Anya felt the dragon's strength waning, its movements becoming sluggish. She knew she had struck a vital blow, but she couldn't let up now. With a final surge of adrenaline, she twisted her blades, severing arteries and veins. The dragon's roar turned into a gurgling cough as blood poured from its wounds. The beast collapsed, its massive body shaking the ground. Anya rolled away, her clothes singed and her body battered, but her spirit unbroken. She stood over the fallen dragon, her blades dripping with its blood. The villagers erupted in cheers, their voices filled with relief and gratitude. Anya raised her head, her eyes scanning the horizon. "This is but one victory," she said, her voice hoarse but determined. "There are more dragons out there, and they will not rest until they have reclaimed this island. We must be prepared to fight them all." The villagers nodded, their faces grim but resolute. They knew Anya was right. The battle was far from over, but they also knew they had a champion, a warrior who would lead them through the darkness and into the light. In the days that followed, Anya became a symbol of hope and defiance. She trained the villagers in combat, teaching them the skills she had learned from her ancestors. She forged alliances with the other races of the island, the elves of the Whispering Woods and the dwarves of the Ironforge Mountains. Together, they formed a united front against the dragons. Anya also sought out the wisdom of the island's elders, the keepers of ancient knowledge. They told her of a legend, a prophecy of a chosen one who would rise to unite the people of Drakenholm and defeat the dragons once and for all. Anya listened intently, her heart filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Could she be the chosen one? Was she destined to fulfill the prophecy and bring peace to her troubled land? Anya didn't know the answers, but she was determined to find out. She knew her journey was far from over, that there were many challenges and dangers ahead. But she also knew she was not alone. She had her people, her allies, and the spirit of her ancestors to guide her. And so, with renewed purpose, Anya set out on a new quest, a quest to unite the island, to face the dragons, and to discover her true destiny. Anya's journey led her first to the Whispering Woods, home to the elusive elves. Their leader, Elara, was a woman of ethereal beauty and sharp wisdom, her eyes as green as the forest canopy. She listened intently as Anya spoke of the dragon threat and the prophecy of the Chosen One. Elara nodded slowly, her gaze distant. "The prophecy is indeed real," she said. "It has been whispered among the trees for centuries, passed down from one generation to the next. But the Chosen One's path is fraught with peril. Many have tried and failed, their courage swallowed by the dragon's flames." Anya's heart sank, but she quickly regained her composure. "I am not afraid," she said. "I will face whatever dangers come my way. My people need me." Elara smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Very well," she said. "I will aid you on your quest. But know this, Drakenblood. The dragons are not the only threat to this island. There are darker forces at play, forces that seek to exploit the chaos and seize power for themselves." Anya's brow furrowed. "What forces are you speaking of?" she asked. Elara's eyes narrowed. "They are known as the Shadow Council," she whispered, "a cabal of sorcerers and power-hungry individuals who have pledged their allegiance to a dark entity. They seek to awaken an ancient evil, a being of immense power that could enslave all of Drakenholm." Anya felt a chill run down her spine. "We must stop them," she said. "But how?" Elara handed Anya a small, intricately carved wooden box. "This contains a seed of the elderwood," she said. It is a powerful artifact capable of revealing hidden truths and guiding those who seek them. Take it to the heart of the dragon's lair. There you will find the answers you seek. Anya accepted the box, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings. She felt a surge of gratitude towards Ilara and the elves. They had given her hope, a path to follow, but she also knew that the road ahead would be treacherous. With a final farewell, Anya left the Whispering Woods and headed towards the Ironforge Mountains, home to the dwarves. She needed their strength and resilience to face the dragons and the Shadow Council. She knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed allies, a united front to fight for the future of Drakenholm. The path wound through rugged terrain, the air growing colder with each step. Anya could see the snow-capped peaks of the Ironforge Mountains looming in the distance, a fortress of stone and ice. She quickened her pace, eager to meet with the dwarves and seek their aid. As she approached the mountain pass, she saw a figure standing in the middle of the path, silhouetted against the setting sun. It was a dwarf, clad in heavy armor and carrying a massive axe. He watched Anya approach, his eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Who goes there?" he boomed, his voice echoing through the mountains. Anya stopped, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword. "I am Anya, the last of the Drakenblood," she said. "I seek an audience with your king." The dwarf lowered his axe, his expression softening. "So you are the one they speak of," he said. "The dragon slayer, the chosen one. Very well. Follow me. The king awaits." The dwarf led Anya through a labyrinth of tunnels and caverns, the air thick with the scent of iron and sulfur. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of dwarven history and mythology. Anya marveled at the craftsmanship, a testament to the dwarves' dedication and skill. They finally reached a grand hall, its ceiling supported by massive pillars of carved stone. At the far end, seated on a throne of iron and gold, was King Borin Ironbeard, the ruler of the dwarves. He was a formidable figure, his beard as white as snow and his eyes as sharp as the tools of his trade. Anya bowed before the king, her respect evident in her posture. "Your Majesty," she said, "I come seeking your aid. The dragons have broken the ancient pact and are terrorizing our land. I believe I am the chosen one, destined to unite our people and defeat them." King Borin stroked his beard thoughtfully, his gaze fixed on Anya. "We have heard of your exploits, Drakenblood," he said. "Your courage and determination are admirable, but the dragons are a formidable foe. Many have tried to vanquish them, only to fall victim to their flames." Anya met the king's gaze, her resolve unwavering. "I am not afraid," she said. "I will not back down from this challenge, but I cannot do it alone. I need your help." King Borin nodded slowly. "The dwarves have always valued courage and honor," he said. "We will not stand idly by while our allies are threatened. You have our support, Drakenblood. We will fight alongside you." A cheer erupted from the dwarven warriors who had gathered in the hall. Anya felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She had gained powerful allies, warriors who would stand with her until the end. King Borin rose from his throne, his movements surprisingly agile for his age. "But know this, Drakenblood," he said, "the dragons are not the only threat we face. There are whispers of a dark force stirring in the shadows, a force that seeks to plunge our land into chaos." Anya's heart sank. She had heard similar warnings from Ilara. "The Shadow Council," she said. King Borin nodded. "They are a dangerous foe, their motives shrouded in secrecy. We must be vigilant, Drakenblood. The fate of our land hangs in the balance." Anya felt a heavy burden settle on her shoulders. The challenges ahead were daunting, but she refused to give in to despair. She had come too far, sacrificed too much, to back down now. With the dwarves' support, Anya's army grew stronger each day. Elves, humans, and dwarves trained together, honing their skills and forging bonds of unity. The spirit of resistance spread throughout Drakenholm, a beacon of hope in the face of darkness. But Anya knew that time was running out. The Shadow Council was growing bolder, their agents sowing discord and fear among the people. The dragons, emboldened by the chaos, were increasing their raids, their demands growing more outrageous. Anya felt a sense of urgency, a need to act before it was too late. She gathered her closest advisors, a council of warriors, scholars, and spiritual leaders. Together, they devised a plan, a daring gambit to strike at the heart of the dragon's lair and uncover the Shadow Council's secrets. Under the cover of darkness, Anya and her band of warriors set off towards the dragon's lair, a volcanic peak that dominated the island's landscape. The path was treacherous, the air filled with the acrid scent of sulfur and the rumble of molten rock. Anya gripped the elderwood seed tightly, its warmth a comforting presence in the oppressive atmosphere. The entrance to the lair was a gaping maw in the mountainside, its edges blackened by fire and smoke. Anya could feel the heat radiating from the depths, a reminder of the dangers that lay ahead. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the trials to come. The cavern was vast and dimly lit, the walls adorned with jagged stalactites and stalagmites that cast eerie shadows. The air was thick with the stench of decay and the echoes of the dragon's roars. Anya and her warriors moved cautiously, their weapons drawn, their senses alert. They came to a fork in the path, the tunnels branching off in multiple directions. Anya hesitated, unsure of which way to go. She held out the elderwood seed, hoping it would guide them. The seed glowed faintly, its warmth pulsing rhythmically. Anya closed her eyes, focusing on the seed's energy. Images flashed through her mind, visions of twisting tunnels, hidden chambers, and a fiery heart beating at the core of the mountain. Anya opened her eyes, a newfound clarity in her gaze. She knew which path to take. The warriors followed Anya deeper into the lair, the air growing hotter with each step. They encountered traps and obstacles, but Anya's intuition and the elderwood seed's guidance helped them navigate the treacherous terrain. They finally reached a massive chamber, its walls glowing with an infernal light. In the center, atop a mound of gold and jewels, lay the dragon, its massive body curled around a pile of bones. Its eyes were closed, its breath coming in ragged gasps. Anya approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. The dragon sensed her presence and opened its eyes, their fiery gaze fixing on her. A low growl rumbled in its throat, a warning to the intruders. "So the Drakenblood has come," the dragon hissed. "You seek to slay me, to end our reign over this island. But you are too late. The Shadow Council has already begun their work. The awakening is near." Anya's eyes widened in alarm. "What awakening?" she asked. The dragon laughed, a hollow, chilling sound. "The awakening of the Ancient One," it said. "A being of pure darkness, a devourer of worlds. The Shadow Council seeks to unleash it upon this land, to plunge it into eternal night." Anya felt a surge of dread, but she refused to succumb to despair. "We will stop them," she said. "We will not let them succeed." The dragon's laughter grew louder. "You are a fool, Drakenblood," it said. "You cannot stop what has already begun. The Ancient One will rise, and all of Drakenholm will fall." Anya raised her sword, her resolve hardening. "We shall see about that," she said. "Prepare to meet your end, dragon." Anya lunged forward, her blades flashing in the firelight. The dragon roared, its wings beating the air as it rose to meet her attack. Sparks flew as steel clashed against scales, the echoes reverberating through the cavern. Anya fought with the ferocity of a cornered wolf, her movements fueled by desperation and rage. She dodged the dragon's fiery breath, weaving through the air like a phantom. Her blades found purchase in the dragon's hide, drawing blood and eliciting pained roars. The dragon retaliated with swipes of its claws and blasts of searing heat, but Anya was relentless. She pressed her attack, her determination unwavering. The battle raged on, a whirlwind of steel, fire, and fury. Meanwhile, Anya's warriors fought their way through the dragon's minions, a horde of monstrous creatures that had been drawn to the lair by the scent of blood and chaos. The dwarves, with their axes and shields, held the line, their stoic faces set in grim determination. The elves, nimble and swift, rained arrows upon the enemy, their aim deadly accurate. The battle was a symphony of chaos, the air filled with the clash of weapons, the screams of the dying, and the roar of the dragon. Anya knew she couldn't hold out much longer. The dragon was too powerful, its attacks too relentless. She saw an opening and seized it. With a final surge of adrenaline, she plunged her blades deep into the dragon's neck, severing its spinal cord. The beast let out a final, agonized roar before collapsing to the ground, its life extinguished. A cheer erupted from Anya's warriors as they watched the dragon fall. They had achieved a hard-fought victory, but they knew their ordeal was far from over. The Shadow Council still loomed over them, their dark plans yet to be revealed. Anya approached the dragon's corpse, her heart heavy with a mix of triumph and sorrow. She had slain a magnificent creature, a being of immense power and ancient wisdom. But it had been corrupted by greed and malice, its noble spirit twisted into a monstrous form. She knelt beside the dragon's head, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns of its scales. A tear rolled down her cheek as she whispered a prayer for the fallen beast, hoping its spirit would find peace in the afterlife. Her moment of mourning was interrupted by a sudden tremor that shook the cavern. The ground beneath them rumbled, the walls cracking and groaning. Anya and her warriors scrambled to their feet, their eyes wide with alarm. "What's happening?" Elara asked, her voice laced with fear. "The lair is collapsing," Borin said, his face grim. "We must leave now." Anya nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She gathered her warriors and led them out of the cavern, the elderwood seed glowing brightly in her hand. They raced through the tunnels, the tremors growing stronger with each step. They finally emerged from the mountainside, just as the peak erupted in a fiery explosion. Molten rock and ash rained down upon them, but they managed to escape unscathed. Anya looked back at the collapsing mountain, a sense of awe and dread filling her. She had slain the dragon and averted disaster, but she knew the true battle was yet to come. The Shadow Council was still out there, plotting their next move. Anya vowed to find them, to expose their secrets and thwart their evil plans. She would not rest until Drakenholm was safe, its people free from the tyranny of dragons and the machinations of dark forces. The journey back to the village was somber. Though they had triumphed over the dragon, the looming threat of the Shadow Council weighed heavily on their hearts. Anya clutched the elderwood seed, its warmth a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. Upon their return, they were met with a hero's welcome. The villagers cheered, tears streaming down their faces, as Anya recounted their harrowing tale. The dragon's reign of terror was finally over, but the celebration was tempered by the knowledge that a greater danger still lurked in the shadows. The elderwood seed, having fulfilled its purpose, began to wither. Anya knew this was a sign that their next move lay not in the past, but in the present. They needed to decipher the clues they had gathered, to unravel the Shadow Council's plans before it was too late. A council was convened, gathering the wisest minds from all corners of Drakenholm. They pored over ancient texts, scrolls, and maps, searching for any mention of the Shadow Council or the Ancient One. Days turned into nights as they worked tirelessly, their determination fueled by a shared sense of urgency. Finally, a breakthrough came. A young elven scholar named Phelan discovered a hidden passage in an ancient text, a riddle that spoke of a convergence of power, a ritual that could awaken the Ancient One. The riddle hinted at a location, a forgotten shrine deep within the island's heart. Anya knew what she had to do. She gathered her most trusted warriors, a diverse band of humans, elves, and dwarves, each with their own unique skills and strengths. Together, they embarked on a perilous journey into the unknown, their hearts filled with both trepidation and resolve. They followed the clues, navigating treacherous paths, overcoming obstacles, and battling the Shadow Council's minions who sought to thwart their progress. The journey was fraught with danger, but Anya's determination never wavered. She knew the fate of Drakenholm rested on her shoulders. After days of arduous travel, they reached the shrine, a moss-covered monolith hidden within a secluded grove. As they approached, the air grew thick with an oppressive energy, a palpable sense of malevolence. Anya could feel the elderwood seed thrumming in her hand, its warmth a stark contrast to the chilling aura that surrounded them. The Shadow Council was already there, a group of hooded figures gathered around the monolith, their voices raised in an arcane chant. Anya and her warriors burst into the clearing, their weapons drawn. A fierce battle ensued, a clash of steel, magic, and raw power. The Shadow Council fought with desperate fury, their spells crackling through the air, their blades gleaming in the moonlight. But Anya and her warriors were relentless, their courage and skill honed by countless battles. In the end, the Shadow Council was defeated, their dark ritual interrupted. The monolith crumbled into dust, the oppressive energy dissipating like smoke in the wind. Anya stood over the fallen figures, her heart filled with a mixture of relief and triumph. The threat of the Ancient One had been averted, Drakenholm was safe. But Anya knew their work was not done. The Shadow Council may be defeated, but their ideology lived on, a festering wound in the heart of the island. Anya vowed to continue her fight, to root out any remnants of the Shadow Council and ensure that their dark influence never again threatened Drakenholm. She would not rest until her homeland was truly free, its people united in peace and prosperity. The dragon's due had been paid, but Anya's journey was far from over. She had become a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness, and she would continue to fight for that light, no matter the cost. The island of Drakenholm rejoiced. With the dragons quelled and the Shadow Council vanquished, a new era of peace and unity seemed within reach. Yet Anya knew that true peace was not merely the absence of conflict, but the active cultivation of harmony and understanding. She embarked on a journey across the island, visiting every village, hamlet, and settlement. She listened to the concerns of the people, offering words of encouragement and wisdom. She mediated disputes, fostering reconciliation and forgiveness. She spoke of the importance of cooperation, of setting aside differences and working together for the common good. Anya's efforts bore fruit. The wounds of the past began to heal, replaced by a sense of shared purpose and collective responsibility. The dragons, once symbols of fear and oppression, became legends whispered around campfires, their lessons of courage and resilience passed down through generations. The island flourished under Anya's leadership. Trade routes reopened, fields were cultivated, and new alliances were forged. The elves of the Whispering Woods shared their knowledge of nature's secrets. The dwarves of the Ironforge Mountains contributed their mastery of craftsmanship, and the humans, with their indomitable spirit, led the way towards a brighter future. Anya, once a lone warrior burdened by a forgotten lineage, had become a unifying force, a beacon of hope for all of Drakenholm. She had fulfilled the prophecy, not through brute force or magical prowess, but through her compassion, her wisdom, and her unwavering belief in the power of unity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, Anya stood on the cliff overlooking the sea. The Drakenheart, no longer pulsing with fiery energy, hung silent around her neck, a reminder of her past trials and triumphs. She looked out at the vast expanse of ocean, the waves crashing against the rocks below. A sense of peace washed over her, a profound understanding of her place in the grand tapestry of life. She had faced her demons, conquered her fears, and emerged from the crucible of conflict stronger and wiser. She had paid the dragon's due, not with blood and sacrifice, but with courage, compassion, and unity. And in doing so, she had not only saved her homeland, but also found her true purpose, her destiny as a leader, a healer, and a beacon of hope for generations to come. The wind whispered her name, carrying it across the island like a benediction. Anya smiled, her heart filled with gratitude and contentment. She had found her place in the world, her legacy secured. The dragon's due was paid in full, and a new chapter in Drakenholm's history had begun. A chapter filled with hope, unity, and the promise of a brighter future.